West Coast.
Yeah, yeah.
Drew, how are we doing today?
We're doing great. We're doing
Fantastic.
incredible.
Happy
I'm
Madden week.
amazing. Happy Madden launch week.
Yep. Some people will love that. Other people will hate that and say we're not playing Madden this year. But I know you hopped on the college football game for a little bit, and you were like,
I
"Yeah, this
did.
isn't for me."
Yeah, some of you guys out there might already be all the way through your first year of a franchise, and some of us out here are still waiting for someone to put ridiculous sleeves and stupid elbow guards on their players so we could start our league. So
And change the
that's
number of
where we're
every single
at.
player and make sure it's right. And yeah.
Yep.
All right, so we are getting into our first record predictions. I say first because the second part will come next week. First part is we're going to be going over all of the AFC. Next week, we're going to be going into the NFC. And we're going to be right around the corner from football at that point. We can start getting into, actual week-to-week predictions at that point. We'll be probably putting out an episode a day, 2 days before the first week actually gets kicked off on that Thursday. But we are going to cut this up division by division. So if you're listening to the full audio version, then you can go ahead and skip ahead. Or if you're on YouTube, you can close this out and you can go to division by division if you prefer that. If you want to listen to the whole episode, you're more than welcome to. We do appreciate it. We're going to start off with the East, though. So I'm going to go ahead and start it off with the lowest of the low, the fourth place of the AFC East. And it's not just the lowest of the low for the AFC East, it's the AFC conference and as a whole. And that is the New England Patriots. I have going 1-16. Drew, we had some initial discussions about this team throughout the week, just trying to figure out where we're going to place them. What was your final record prediction for the New England Patriots?
After my first initial attempts at this and having the Patriots twice lose every game they played, I'm like, all right, listen, this is the NFL. Everybody is talented. And sorry if you see me glancing off screen here. I got my X app going hard here just in case we get that breaking Brandon Ayuk deal news or trade while we're I want to make sure that I start screaming and shit right in the middle of our podcast. So I ended up with the Patriots going 2-15 this upcoming season, and I picked them to have wins over the Cardinals.
Okay.
And I had them beating the Colts. The reason for this is the Cardinals and the Colts both have quarterbacks that have documented injury histories. Obviously, Richardson missed a ton of the season last year, and Kyler Murray's been in and out. And both those games occur in weeks 13 and 15. So I just figure if there's a chance for Drake May to get settled in towards the end of the year and a chance for maybe some of those starting quarterbacks to not be playing and them to be able to steal a win, that'll most likely be when it is. Coincidentally enough, the Patriots get a win, go to their bye, then get another win, and then that's it for their season there. 2 wins for me with the New England Dynasty Patriots.
The only win I had them picking up was a Week 8 win against a very much higher up New York Jets
team.
Yeah, so this
division okay, big dog.
They just have random win losses every once in a while. Just like a division we'll be going over in a couple of spots up that it seems like one team can't beat the other one or fully sweep them. I just feel like it's Week 8. It's a random Sunday game, 10 o'clock for the West Coast at least, against the New York Jets in Foxborough. I just feel like it's going to be one of those games that they just kind of very, very barely eke out. It's not going to be high octane. It's not going to be exciting. It's going to be one of those very forgettable games that ends up just kind of putting a little wrench in the New York Jets plan for the season. Now, they're going to be fine for the whole season. Spoiler alert. But I think this is going to be kind of one of the only wins. But I do think that talking about the injury history with Anthony Richardson definitely could come into factor for that Week 13. I think that's very viable, especially leading into a bye and then coming off of that bye against the Arizona Cardinals. I think it's definitely possible, but clearly you and I see this team the same way, and it's the bottom of the barrel of the AFC and the league as a whole.
Listen, pretty famous statement in coaching circles. You never want to be the guy that replaces the guy. And unfortunately, I know the Patriots believe in Gerard Mayo, but he's the guy who's replacing the greatest head coach of all time.
Yep.
And he might be a great coach someday, but he's going to go through his bumps here because I got a franchise in Madden with the Patriots, and let me tell you, that roster is a little stinky. It's a little stinky. Yep. So, not huge things on the horizon this season for the Patriots, but hopefully Drake May plays really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Big Drake May guy here. Absolutely. Now the only other teams I could see them maybe kind of getting it close is week 2 against the Seattle Seahawks, which I'm not very big on this year at all. And you might be able to see how the Chargers are going by week 17. But I still believe in the Chargers a hell of a lot more than the New England Patriots. So again, 4th place in the division, but also last place for me in the conference. Now in 3rd place, Drew, who do you have going 3rd?
Did you see that this NFL schedule this year has week 18 set up to where it's all division games?
I did notice that.
That is so smart. That is so brilliant to keep those games meaningful. Shout out to the NFL. They're smarter than the rest of us. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Coming in 3rd place in this division, and this was really tough for me, and you're probably going to disagree. Coming in 3rd place in this division and missing the playoffs at 10-7, I have the Miami Dolphins.
Okay. And go ahead and bring through the reasons on why, because I don't have the Dolphins missing the playoffs at all.
Yeah, so I just basically gave them an L on every away game they have in November and December against a good team. Tua can't play in the weather. He can't play in the rain. He can't play in the snow. And even if he figures it out and you call me a hater, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, all those quarterbacks are used to that snow. Even the Steelers quarterbacks, if you can call them quarterbacks, those players are all going to be attuned to the snow. And unless Mike McDaniel has a trick up its sleeve. Now, if you'd asked before I started this, hey, do you think the Dolphins are going to make the playoffs this year? Oh, yeah, I think they have a good shot at making the playoffs this year. But the schedule just lays out the way it does.
Yep.
And honestly, there's a couple of these things that surprise me as I'm looking at them. I'm just like, I kind of missed the boat on that, I think. I don't think that's the way it's going to happen. But just looking at the matchups and what I expect, and honestly, with a 4-year-old quarterback over there in New York, I'm super, super hopeful that he has an MVP season left in him, but we'll have to see.
And I think that this is very telling because last week we had our power rankings and I texted you pretty much the next day, 2 days after. And I was like, I think I made a mistake on a couple of these power rankings because looking at their schedule and then going through it, I'm like, shit. I'm like, these teams are definitely going to make the playoffs. So they're definitely going to be a lot better than they were. The Jets were one of those ones that I thought, I was like, I missed the mark on that one. That's on me completely. The Dolphins, just kind of skipping ahead a little bit, I have winning the division at 11-6. So, and I agree that the tail end of the Dolphins schedule is really rough. I mean, I have them going, they're hot out the gate, wins in week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, being undefeated into their bye week, 7, 8, and then they get a loss against Buffalo in week 9. That's when their November slate really starts. They win against LA on a Monday night game. Then I had them winning against the Las Vegas Raiders. Then the New England Patriots losing against the Green Bay Packers, winning against the New York Jets. They are home for that game. But then that's when their winning stops. Week 15 to 18, they lose every game. That is against the Texans on the road. That is home against the 49ers. That is on the road against the Cleveland Browns. And that is on the road against the New York Jets. It is really, really rough for those last couple of weeks for the Miami Dolphins. They're going to be struggling to make it through. And it's like you talked about, not only is it's road games, but some of these road games are cold weather games that Tua and the Miami Dolphins as a whole are going to struggle on. Now, again, I have them 1st place, not 3rd place, but it's still a really tough tail end of the schedule that they might really struggle on. So I definitely can see it. My 3rd place, which you're going to disagree on, we might have first. It's either second. You might have them 2nd or 1st. I'm not sure which one. But my 3rd place is the Buffalo Bills. I have them going 9-8 and missing the playoffs. So still a winning season technically, but they are going to miss it. If you want to see us argue about the Buffalo Bills and a couple different teams, go back to last week, look at our power rankings video, and you could see us going back and forth about Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills. Here's how I have theirs going. And I'm not going to go over every single team like this, just the ones that are going to be close in divisions for records, or the ones that are going to be a little bit more controversial, like the Buffalo Bills. I have them losing immediately week 1 to the Arizona Cardinals. I just flash ahead. I actually believe in the Cardinals, especially I like Kyler Murray a lot. So I have them winning the very first week, losing the first week, losing the second week, winning the third week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then the next couple of weeks after that, they face on the road all 3 weeks. They have the Baltimore Ravens, the Houston Texans, and the New York Jets. Really rough stretch for them. But then they get a little bit easier going against the Tennessee Titans, the Seattle Seahawks, picking up wins against them, picking up a win against the Miami Dolphins at home, picking up a win against the Indianapolis Colts. But then they're going to lose against Kansas City at home in week 11, going into their bye week, losing against the San Francisco 49ers, beating the LA Rams, losing against the Lions, and then winning all 3 of their last games, all division opponents, the in order Patriots, Jets, Patriots. So the only one that you can point at and say, oh, I don't really like that one is the week 1. But I think the rest of them, they're really not far outside of reality, for me at least. So I could see where you're coming from with the week 1 thing. I know it's no way that would happen. But to me, the rest of the schedule, you look at it, I think that's the only one that you can point at and be like, I don't know about that one. The rest of them, it feels pretty to me cut and dry on where their record's going to sit. Second place?
I have the Buffalo Bills second place. I have them going 11-6. Interestingly enough, they go 3-5 against playoff teams. They go 4-6 against winning teams, but they go 7-0 against every team that's worse than them. They will beat the Cardinals. They will get 2 wins against the Patriots, and then they'll split the division series. So that's going to put them at 6 already. Mm-hmm. They're going to mop up games against the Titans. That's an easy dub. Yep. They're going to beat the Los Angeles Rams. That gets them to 8. Yeah. They are going to beat the Jaguars. That gets them to 9. And then spoiler alert, I have them beating San Francisco because we can't stop those quarterbacks. They just absolutely decimate us. He'll go for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground and beat us. So that's how I get to 11. My schedule breakdown on the Bills is not as high as I am on the Bills in real life, which is interesting. Yep. And I'm not as high on the New York Jets as I have them winning all these games on the schedule. So again, it just comes down to, we both did this a couple times with a certain NFC team that we'll talk about next week. And I'm just like, no, they're not this good. But every time I do this damn thing, they win a shit ton of games. So that's kind of where I'm at with the New York Jets. Obviously, there's only one team to talk about. How many wins do you have the Jets with this year?
11. So I have them with the same amount of wins as Miami. They make the playoffs. They're the 7th seed in my predictions.
Yeah, so I gave them 12.
Okay. I'm curious on where we differ, and I think do we differ on the week 1? Is that where we differ?
I'm taking the Niners week 1.
Okay, I'm taking the Niners too. I'm glad. I know that you text me about the you're not so sure about the Niners winning certain big games or whatnot, but I was like, man, I hope that it's not where we're differing.
I'm not sure about shit with the 49ers because they don't have their number 1 wide receiver and their Hall of Fame left tackle in camp right now. Right. But Aaron Rodgers hasn't played football in a long, long time, and he's not playing in the preseason. And they go 49ers, Titans, Patriots, Broncos, Vikings before they play the Bills. And then they get the Steelers, Patriots before they play the Texans. So they could easily be 7-3, 5-6-3, whatever, however many numbers of games that is. Yeah. 6-3. They could be 6-3 with losses to the 49ers, the Bills, and the Texans. And you might believe that they might win that Bills game. So they could be, 7-2 based off of strength of schedule here. I have them going 9-0 against losing teams this year. That's probably unrealistic, but their strength of schedule is whack city. Like they're not playing any tough teams this year. So, I would love for this to happen. I want to see it happen. I would absolutely love to see Aaron Rodgers come back and dominate one last year because everybody thinks he's so controversial. And to me, he's just a really good quarterback. So
yeah,
who we've dominated his whole career. So I'm glad to let him be one of the greatest of all times and everyone to think he's awesome because we've smashed him. On the other hand, I hate Steph Curry, because he whips the King's ass every year, but we've always kicked Aaron Rodgers' ass. So I'm okay with him getting all the praise.
Right. When it comes to the New York Jets, again, I have them second place. I have them picking up a loss week 1 against the Niners, but then they're just going to start sweeping guys up pretty convincingly. Week 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then that week 8, one Patriot win that they end up picking up is that week right there. So then they're going to end up taking a loss against Houston to me, but then picking up wins against the Arizona Cardinals and Indianapolis Colts, and then heading into their bye week in week 12. But I mean, you hear the teams that we're rattling off, they're not very good. Even that first stretch, we're talking about the Titans, the Patriots, the Broncos, the Vikings, the Steelers. We're not talking about great teams here, and they're just kind of being able to pick up wins as they go along. But then after their bye week, they're picking up wins against Seattle, losing against Miami, beating the Jacksonville Jaguars, losing to the LA Rams.
I have that too.
Losing against the Buffalo Bills, and then beating the Miami Dolphins. That one is ending out their season at home against, again, Miami. So
bro. So you're like a Patriots fumble, them fumbling the bag against the Patriots, and a weird game against the Dolphins away from thinking the Jets are going to win like 14 games next year.
Seriously, it's crazy. And we did our power rankings last week. It was one of the first things we talked about, like, let's talk about honorable mentions. And I'm like, I don't really have the Jets in my top 10, but then I have them making playoffs and winning 11 games. So just to recap the AFC East real quick, once again, I have the New England Patriots bottom of the barrel of the entire conference at 1-16. In third place, I have the Buffalo Bills going 9-8, just narrowly missing the playoffs, getting the 8th seed. And the New York Jets getting the 2nd seed in the division, going 11-6, and getting the 7th seed in the playoffs. And winning the division, the Miami Dolphins, also 11-6, just barely eking out against the New York Jets. Going 4-2 in the division is the reason why they get the first place, the tiebreaker. And then gets the 4th seed in the playoffs is how I run. Drew, you want to recap yours real quick?
So Patriots, they're terrible, but I do have 2 wins against them based off of injuries. The Miami Dolphins are going to miss the playoffs at 10-7. The Buffalo Bills are going to be the wild card team at 11-6. And then I got the New York Jets coming in with 12 wins, picking up the 3rd seed in the AFC.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how this is all going to shake out. And I know there's going to be some type of bragging rights by the time the season comes to an end, or the first team that misses the playoffs out of those first 3. There's definitely going to be some words spoken either on the podcast or on Snapchat.
Oh, bro, you know how you see those reels where something plays and then there's the little talking face down in the corner and he talks about it. Mm-hmm. When the Bills run roughshod on everyone, I'm just gonna replay back our shit where I'm arguing with you and I'm just gonna be like, yeah. So I'm ready. I mean, it was 2 years ago. It was Christian Watson. Last year, I don't really remember who we argued about last year, but it looks like the Bills are going to be
the conversation
one of the conversation pieces this year.
Yep. Let's go ahead and move on to a division that is not very good, and that is the AFC South. I can go ahead and kick it off with the last place in the division. 13th in the conference is going to be the Tennessee Titans, going a whopping 5-12, which I think is unfortunate because I think this Titan team has improved pretty significantly with the pieces that they picked up in free agency with trades, cornerback pieces, running back pieces. Unfortunately, you have a big question at the quarterback position. I like Will Levis, but not sure how he's really going to do. Lots of pieces around him, DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley, and you got pieces there. And it's just, what are you going to do with them is the big question. So I don't think this is really too controversial. I'm not sure where you have the Titans placed, but 5-12 and really only picking up wins against the Green Bay Packers in week 3, The Colts in week six, I have them picking up a win against the New England Patriots in week 9, and their last win against the Jags in, week 14.
Also at 13th in the conference, I have the Tennessee Titans, and they are going to pick up 4 wins this year. I believe that they are very lucky that they get to play the Patriots. So let's see who I got. They are going to take home wins. Oh my gosh, they just lose all the week until week 9 when they play the Patriots. So they're going to grab the Patriots. Week 11, they got the Minnesota Vikings. Who knows what's going on with Sam Darnold by then? It has been announced that J.J. McCarthy is out for the season, which fucking sucks massively. So I'm going to just say they knock off the Vikings there because Sam Darnold is not the next Baker Mayfield or whatever everybody's going to call him.
And they've
Week
had 3 or 4 injuries to their corners in the last 2 weeks too.
Yeah, and who knows how much time their second star receiver is going to miss due to DUI and all that stuff. Yep. Week 13 against the Commanders.
Real quick, I don't know if you just saw, he just got carted off the field a couple hours ago too.
Addison did?
Yeah, it was an ankle injury. It doesn't look like it might be anything too serious, but he did just get carted off the field. I think it was about 3 or 4 hours ago. Yep.
He doesn't believe it to be serious. He won't practice tomorrow. I think it's going to be okay. Okay, cool. Still, ankle injuries can linger. Week 13, they get a win against the Washington Commanders. And then week 16, I got them knocking off the Colts. So again, you could tell with the Colts, the back half of their season, I'm not a big believer just because of the injury concerns and who knows what the Commanders are doing late in the season with Jaden Daniels and whatever's going on there.
Right. Absolutely. Again, I don't think this is. I also have them picking up wins against the Commanders. I don't think I said that. I missed that one. But yeah, I have them picking up a win against them as well. In my predictions, I like to on a handful of the teams just throw in a random win here and there because upsets always happen in the league. So every once in a while, I would just be like, you know what? I'm this feels like a good time just throw in a random win for this team. And the Green Bay Packers week 3 win just felt like I was like, okay, this is the time I'm going to go and throw this one in there. I know, Drew, you made faces about what the Tennessee Titans have done. You don't believe that the Tennessee Titans have gotten better over the offseason? I don't know how you don't.
No, I just, my first individual thing I did with the Tennessee Titans, you're like, the Tennessee Titans are way better than 2 wins. And you're giving them 5. I'm like, okay, they're probably a field goal away in 2 of those games from losing them. So yeah, it's the same thing with the Chiefs. The Chiefs are statistically better than every fucking team they're going to play this year. Are they going to go 17-0? No, because it's the NFL. It doesn't happen that way. But it's like, all right, who am I going to pick to beat the Chiefs?
Yep.
So
no, I get it. And your third place, who do you have? I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to go the exact same way with us.
And they bump 2 higher spots than the Tennessee Titans. I have the Indianapolis Colts at 5-11, which is a little disappointing to me because I'm actually really excited to see him play this year, and I think that they could be kind of good. Yeah. But when you start off against, they got the Texans, then they got Green Bay. Luckily, they can get 2 wins against the Bears and the Steelers there, and then it just kind of. The Jaguars, Tennessee Titans, I actually gave them 4 wins in the first. They're 4-2 going into week 6. And then they still a win against the Minnesota Vikings in week 9. And then they never win again, essentially. And, there's a game week 15 against the Broncos. There's a game week 17 against, oh shit, I didn't click week 17. Okay, I lied. I'm going to give them a win against the Giants. They're going to win 6 games, which is going to still put them at 11th in the division. Did I say 5-11? You should have said, hey, that math doesn't work, bro.
I was thinking about it.
So anyways, it just the Dolphins, the Texans, the Jets, they just all these teams are better than them. So I got them at 6-11.
Yeah, I have the Colts jumping ahead a little bit. Actually, you know what? I'll pause on that. So I have the Jacksonville Jaguars actually 3rd, and I have them going 7-10.
Me too.
Okay, so
I just have them 2nd.
God, this division's so bad.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ, this is. It's pretty sad that the AFC, the AFC South and the NFC South are the 2 worst divisions in football. But whatever. Yeah, so bad division. I have them going 7-10. Their season looks like this. They pick up a loss week 1 against Miami. They're going to lose against Cleveland. They're going to lose every single game in weeks 1 through 4. That's going to be Miami, Cleveland, Buffalo, and Houston. And then they're going to pick up their first win in week 5 against the Colts. And then they're going to win against the Bears. They're going to win against the Patriots. And then they're going to start 2 more games losing Green Bay Packers and the Eagles. They're going to win against the Vikings, but then they're going to lose against the Lions. I feel like this is probably pretty cut and dry. I do have them winning at home against the Houston Texans, division opponent. I have some of those going on. And then a loss against Tennessee, another division opponent there. And then you have the Jets. That's a loss. You have the Raiders, that's a win. You have the Titans again, that's a win. And then you have the Colts, which I have going down as a loss, as the Colts are at home. So again, I'm going 7-10. They are 11th in the conference. But don't worry, the Colts are not that far in front of them. So we're not that far off.
Yeah, so I have them beating I have them losing to the Texans and beating the Bears. That's the only that's how we both come up with 7 wins there.
Okay. Yeah. So, and gosh, I feel like the Bears are they could either be really, really good or they could be really bad. But I think that there's going to be some type of mediocre kind of in between is where the Bears are roughly going to sit. But we can go over all that in depth next week. My next position, my second, is the team we already went over, and that's the Colts. They are 10th in the conference, so right in front of the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I do have them going and having a winning season at 9-8. This team was already on verge of a playoff team last year, and hopefully if Anthony Richardson is going to stay healthy, which that has been yet to be seen up to this point, but if they do stay healthy, I think they're going to sit somewhere in the same-ish position, 9-8. The defense is really going to do a lot of the heavy lifting. So is this offensive line. But I don't think they're gonna get much further than that. Okay.
We have breaking news on the 2020 podcast.
Okay.
The New England Patriots are finalizing a deal to send pass rusher Matthew Judon to the Atlanta Falcons. Some NFC news for a potential playoff team next season. And potential problem for our teams, the 49ers and Cowboys.
It's funny because the Atlanta Falcons, one of the big things going into the draft this season was potentially picking up a pass rusher, right? On every single mock draft that we had going, the Atlanta Falcons were supposed to be the first team to take a defender in the draft. And we thought that was going to be Dallas Turner, Jared Verse, Laiatu Latu. It was going to be one of these edge rushers that they take. They end up not doing that, and they have taken Michael Penix, and he's not going to start for another 2 years. Now they go ahead and they get their pass rusher and Matthew Judon, and immediately makes the team better because that defensive line is just not good. And bringing in a guy like that is definitely going to beef up, especially some of the young guys that haven't quite developed yet. Hopefully help them out. Guys like Arnold Ebiketie. I had high hopes from him coming out of college, Penn State. He played in college with Micah, got drafted.
Madden loves him.
Yeah, but he's not very good. And he hasn't developed the way he's supposed to. Explosive first step, but that's all he has, kind of thing. But yeah, that makes them significantly better. What did Atlanta send as compensation?
They sent back a 3rd round pick.
3rd round pick. Okay.
So I'm gonna can we start this over? I need to take the Patriots back down to only 1 win.
Not really big difference, and just take them down.
Yeah, you know what? They're no longer beating the. I'm going to switch this. Actually, they're no longer beating the Colts. So the Colts are going to go 7-10. They've now moved to 2nd in the division. I agree with you on that because they're not losing to the New England Patriots. So listen, sometimes we got to make changes on the fly here. We got to be listen. I think that the Broncos are going to win 1 game, but if they trade for somebody spectacular next year, then whatever. Here we go. We got to be flexible. We do yoga here on the 2020 podcast.
And in first place, unanimously, is the Houston Texans, going 3rd in the conference overall. I have them going 11-6.
Me too. I thought you loved the Texans. What happened? 11-6. I thought you were going to tell me they went 15-2. Let me bring up the Texans schedule. Let's see what you got.
Yeah, let's go week to week. So week 1 is a W against the Colts.
Okay.
A win against the Bears, a win
Okay.
against the Vikings, a win
Okay.
against the Jaguars, a win
Okay.
against the Bills,
Yep.
a win against the Patriots, and then
Yep.
a loss against the Packers. That's their first
Yep.
loss. Okay. A loss against the Colts in week 8.
Okay.
Again,
That's one.
division. And then I have a win against the Jets,
Okay. So we disagree there. So there's one of them.
a loss against the Lions,
Yep.
loss against the Cowboys,
Yep.
a win against the Tennessee Titans,
Yep.
loss against the Jaguars.
Okay. We're off there.
Week 15, a win against Miami,
Yep.
a loss against Kansas City,
Yep.
a win against Baltimore,
Nope.
and then a win against the Tennessee Titans.
There you go. We
Yes.
damn near have them pegged. Man, they start off on fire, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the schedule, it's kind of hard not to see them kind of lighten it up until they get to the Packers, where that game is. It feels like it's gonna be pretty close to the game of the week, but it's only a 10 o'clock game. Again, West Coast 10 o'clock game. It's going to be the one to watch, I feel like. But they have a couple really good matchups, especially in the second half of the year, starting with that Green Bay Packers game. A couple of the better games as well as the New York Jets game. That's a Thursday night game. They have a Sunday night game against the Lions. They have a Monday night game against the Cowboys. And then they have 2 back-to-back or 3 back-to-back-to-back playoff potential teams. 10 o'clock game, a Saturday game, and a Wednesday game against the Dolphins, Kansas City, and Baltimore. So the tail end of their schedule definitely kind of gets that Miami Dolphins effect where it just kind of gets really, really tough. But I feel like it's gradually tougher in that second half of the year. So they definitely have a rough stretch, but I have them going 11-6. I like this team a lot, but looking at some of those teams that they play, it's kind of hard to see them kind of just smashing out all of these teams. You want to re-go over your 4th through 1st?
Yeah, I got the Tennessee Titans at 4-13. I got the Colts and the Jaguars now at 7-10, and I got the Houston Texans at 11-6.
Yeah, so our placements are the exact same from 4th to 1st, except 5-10 for the Tennessee Titans, 7-10 for the Jacksonville Jaguars, 9-8, just barely missing the playoffs for the Indianapolis Colts, and then the Texans in 3rd place. You're like way too happy about me having the Texans at 11-6. I feel like.
No, I know you're gonna fucking hate these next 2 divisions and what I did, and I don't care. So
maybe okay. So the next division, AFC North.
I told you that I had the Bills at 7th and the wild card at 11-6. So I have 2 teams at 5-6 that have more wins than the Texans do. So, the Texans are tied for the lowest win total in the teams going into the playoffs in the AFC in my awards predictions. So
how many playoff teams do you have for this division?
Only 2. I have the Browns at 10-7, which will get them the 8th seed, missing by a game.
Damn. I have 3.
Well, you don't have the Bills in the playoffs.
Correct.
And you definitely don't have the Chargers in the playoffs.
I do not have the Chargers in the playoffs.
I love me some Harbaugh.
That's the main difference right there is I only have 1 team in the AFC West. And you have 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over the AFC North real quick. Last place for you, who you got?
I got this is funny. I got the Pittsburgh Steelers going 2-15.
It's okay. I'm not that far off. I have them going 4-13.
Just in case anyone's wondering, we sent predictions to each other earlier this week, and he's like, hey, friend, how the fuck do you have the Steelers winning like 9 games? I was like, they got really good defense, man. Like I really like their defense. And then the more I thought about it, I think that I was kind of doing those predictions when I thought that Brandon Ayuk was going to be a Steeler, which it still doesn't matter because you got the corpse of Russell Wilson and Justin Fields can't even beat him out. And we know we can bring Justin Fields into studio anytime we want. I got him right down here. So anytime he needs to make a guest appearance. So yeah, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers going at 2-15. I got them knocking off in week 2 the Broncos, who are trash cans. And then in week 8, I have them beating the Giants.
Okay. So I have them having 4 wins, and 3 of those wins are inter-division wins because their division,
of course,
seems like
sure,
having this disgusting like hate for each other.
Sure.
So I have them picking up wins against. So the Giants is the outer division win. Shout out the Giants. You guys fucking suck. But then they're going to pick up a week 11 home game win against the Baltimore Ravens. I'm picking up a win against a home game for the Cleveland Browns. That is week 14. And I have them picking up a win against last one, week 18, Cincinnati Bengals Sunday. So, yeah, so 4-13 again. 3 of those are all their interdivision. I honestly, because this division's so hard to gauge, I have this division going 3-3 across the board with each other, which I didn't plan at first. And I realized after I looked at it, I had them going 3-3 against each other.
Yeah, I got the Steelers losing every game in the division, which probably won't happen, but who knows who's playing quarterback for them by week 10.
Okay.
So then in third place, I guess, which I think we're both going to agree on, I have the Cleveland Browns at 10-7.
I have
going
one. I have them one more win than you.
2-4 in the 2-4 in the division. I honestly, I'll be honest with you. I think that 10 wins for the Browns is too many. I know that you wanted to argue about their defense and Joe Flacco, but the difference last year is that Joe Flacco protected the ball. He knows what it means to be a game manager. He knows what it means to make the safe play and get the first down and not make mistakes. Sean Watson is the complete opposite. I think he's going to turn the ball all over the place this year and put their defense in positions to not succeed. So if you had to ask me right now on this prediction I made, over or under, I would take the under on this because I just do not think he's going to be any good this year.
Right.
But also that defense is legit. They beat up on the 49ers last year. I saw it firsthand, although we kind of got screwed on the schedule on that. And 10-7 for the Browns.
I'm guessing are the division difference of the 1 win, is that week 7 or 8?
Week 8 I have the Bengals winning. Week 7, I have the Bengals winning. Week 8, I have the Ravens winning.
Okay. And I have the Browns. I pretty much picked, and again, I didn't do this on purpose until I looked at it afterwards. I'm pretty sure I had almost the home team winning almost every game in the division.
But I have them starting 4-1. The only game they lose in their first 5 weeks is to the Cowboys in week 1.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, Cleveland's the home team in that. And if Dallas rolls in with no CeeDee Lamb, which is 99.9% unlikely, but who knows if he signs his contract this week, hamstring injury or whatever the case may be, maybe they start 5-0.
I flip-flopped like 3 times on that game.
Are the Cowboys good enough if CeeDee Lamb's not playing to beat teams?
I don't think so.
Like, are we talking? We're talking Brandon Cooks and no running back here. I know Jake Ferguson is cool, but
we went in let's not forget that we went into the playoffs last year specifically talking about. I'm sure whoever wants to go actually do it can go back to our playoff predictions video or a look ahead video of whoever we're playing, and you can specifically hear one of us specifically saying this team lives and dies by Dak and CD. If Dak and CD do not have good games, this team is not going to do well. And lo and behold, the Green Bay Packers came rolling around, and those two just did not have great games. So it does not change rolling into this year. We're going to have a great defense, an amazing defense with a healthy Trayvon Diggs and in a full year of training camp as an actual 2 for Deron Bland, and it's going to be a great year for the defense. But if the offense can't get it rolling, the team's not going to go very far. They're not gonna look like double-digit wins at all. You guys are
gonna pay your guys though. Jerry Jones is absolutely known for overpaying for his guys, apparently. So,
And I'm curious to see if we have whatever. Anyways,
We don't. Things are going off the rails here. I promise you, because you're
Ro-
going to hate the Bengals win total, and the Ravens got even more. So
I have once again the Browns I have at third place, and they're in the 6th seed, and they have 11 wins. My second place is the Bengals, so 12 wins.
you believe in the Bengals. I told you.
Do you
remember what the fuck Joey Burrow did to the 49ers last year? Who was the best team in the NFL last year? Let's be honest.
The whole year, you guys.
Right. And the Bengals came in and Joey Burrow made our defense his bitch. He was running, he was passing, he was doing this, that, whoop-de-whoop, and all this other shit. Yeah. And Joey B, he was smoking a cigar, and he said, hey, San Francisco, go smoke yourself a fat pack and all that other shit. Get the fuck out of here. Here's your L. Joey B handed it to us. I watched it. I saw it. I cried. Okay. I got the Bengals with 14 wins this year, and I got Joey Burrow as MVP. Which is weird because the Ravens still win more games than that because the Bengals come in second in the division. So explain that to me.
Well, let's roll down the line and see where we differ. Go ahead and start off the Bengals week 1. Let's see where we change.
That's a dub.
Yep.
Kansas City's a loss.
I have them winning.
Okay. They beat the Commanders.
Yep.
The Panthers.
Yep.
The Ravens.
Yep.
The Giants.
Yep.
The Browns.
I have them losing that game.
I have them losing to the Eagles.
I have the Eagles winning.
They beat the Raiders.
Yep.
They lose to the Ravens. That's a split.
Yep.
They beat the Chargers.
Yep.
They beat the Steelers.
Yep.
They beat the Cowboys.
I have the Cowboys winning that game.
Okay.
Because it's a Cowboys home game. That's the reason.
And it's Monday Night Football. So yeah.
And they're coming off of longer rest.
But I thought about that also, but they just had their bye week. The Bengals did. So they're only one game out of their bye week.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't argue with you one way. That's the thing is, again, with the Chiefs and the 49ers play this year. Are the Chiefs guaranteed to beat 49ers? Absolutely not. I still pick the Chiefs to beat the 49ers.
Yeah.
But, then I got them. They're beating the Titans.
Yep.
Then they win the rest of their games. Browns, Broncos, Steelers. Maybe that Browns game is a loss.
I have them losing against the Steelers.
Because of them just benching everybody? Or just because divisions are funky?
I think it's a little. I think it's divisions are funky.
Okay, so if you throw in the division screwball, which I have them going 5-1 in the division, so if they go 4-2, and then the Cowboys Bengals game flip flops, you and I are dead on.
Yeah. Okay. And you said you have the Ravens at more wins than 12. How many? Or sorry, you said you have the Bengals at 14 wins. So you have the Ravens at 15 wins?
Yeah.
I also have the Ravens at 12 wins.
Okay.
So go ahead.
So you want me to run through mine because there's less, or run through yours?
I'll run through mine.
Okay.
Week 1 is a loss.
Yes.
Yep. Win in week 2. No way.
No, they lose they win against the Raiders. I'm just laughing because I picked them to beat the Cowboys in week 3.
So did I.
Okay, good.
Yep. So they have a win in week 3. They have a win in week 4. They lose in week 5. They win in week 6.
Yep.
They win in week 7.
Yep.
They lose in week 8. That's probably
okay. Different. Division drama, sure.
Yep. They win in week 9 and 10.
Yep.
They lose in week 11, division. Win in week 12 and 13.
God, they got a late ass bye week this year.
Yeah,
they're gonna need that. They're gonna need that.
And then I have them winning against the Giants and the Steelers, 15 and 16, losing against the Texans in 17, and then winning in week 18.
That game's on a Wednesday against the Texans, just so you know.
I know. 1:30 Wednesday game. Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Let's fucking go. That's the best. That's the best part of the NFL. That the Christmas weirdness and all that shit. There's games every day of the week. Yep. I loved it in COVID when they moved the one random ass game to Tuesday. I'm like, let's go. I'm in.
So looking at it, we have the exact same placements. We have the Steelers at 4. We have the Browns at 3. We have the Bengals at 2 and the Ravens at 1. The difference is I have the Browns actually making the playoffs at 11-6. You have them going 10-7, I believe, missing the playoffs. I have the Bengals going 12-5, getting the 5th seed, and the Ravens going 12-5, getting the 2nd seed.
So now, if this plays out like this, the Chiefs obviously would have the bye. The Ravens are going to play in my situation, the Bills, but the way we have this stacked up right now, the Texans and Bengals play week 1 in the playoffs. Who you picking? You think the Texans are going to beat them twice?
The Texans and Bengals, and Texans have home field.
Yeah, but it's Houston. It's not like it's
end of Houston's schedule is rough, and the end of.
The thing I like about the Texans, to be honest with you, though, is even if they suffer some injuries, they're so deep at their skill positions, it'll be okay. You know, if Brandon Ayuk doesn't come back 100% healthy, we still got all these guys, right?
Right.
If CeeDee Lamb doesn't come back healthy, your offense is on, suspicious watch,
Yep.
And Dak is already suspicious as it is.
I'll take, if it's at home for the Texans, I have them going 6-2 at home. I'll take the Texans.
All right. Let's talk about everybody's favorite team.
Going
the Raiders.
Oh man, going over the last division today. We have the AFC West, and in last place, I have the Denver Broncos going 4-13, 14th place in their conference. Not very good at all. Who's your last place?
The Broncos.
Okay, and do you have them going similar 4-13 or worse?
Worse.
Yeah, didn't you say it's 2 wins? Is that what you said? Oh man. Okay, let's.
Who did I have them beating?
Yeah, I want to know who you.
The Colts. In week 15 because of Anthony Richardson's injury. It just keeps happening to that poor guy, this poor team. The Colts are going to suck towards the end of the season because Richardson will be hurt again is basically my suspicion here.
I have them beating. So I have them.
They division games, right?
They go 1-5 in their division.
Yeah, I had them 0-6.
Yeah, so the one division game that they actually pick up
against the fucking Chargers, probably.
Nope, it was week 18 against the Chiefs. The Chiefs did all their starters because they
honestly, I'm gonna switch that. You're 100% right. They're gonna have everything locked up, and the Broncos are gonna want to beat the Chiefs. Yep. So I'm actually live changing that 2-15.
I also have them beating week 2 the Steelers at home.
Okay.
Yep. And then
not mad at that.
Have them beating the New Orleans Saints week 7.
The New Orleans Saints are like the trendy bet right now in Vegas to make the playoffs.
I keep hearing about that.
And my whole thing is like they're going to win the division because they're not getting in as a wild card. Like,
Spoiler alert, I'm sorry, but spoiler for next week, I have the Saints going last place in their division.
Yes, spoiler alert, I have the wild card team in the NFC with 10 wins. Saints ain't winning 10 games. So
my wild card seed has 11 wins.
No, I can't. I'm gonna have to redo this because my 5th seed has more wins than my 2nd, 3rd, and 4th seed, and I don't really like that. Although, just for parity, I hope it happens so everyone can complain. But
I have my let's see, where is it? I have my 4th through 7th seed all going 11-6. My 1, 2, and 3 all have different records in the NFC. But back to the Broncos again. I have
sucking.
He had the Saints, and then I told you I have a couple throwaway games, and I threw in there, and this is one of them. Week 11 against the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay.
That's how I feel about it too.
I'm not splitting hairs on trying to argue whether they win 2 games or 4 games here. So
especially when you're talking about the opponents being people like the Steelers and the Saints. So yeah, I not really going to throw it away either. Who's your third place? I think we have the same exact placement again.
yeah, I got the Raiders. How many wins you got for the Raiders?
I have them going 6-11. Were you nicer than I was?
I fucking forgot to click something again. I have the Raiders going 6-11.
Okay, perfect. There we go. All right, so let's run down it. Go ahead. You start off.
These poor Raiders, they go 3-3 in the division, and they only win 6 games.
I actually have them going 4-12 in the division and winning 6 games.
Okay, week 1, I gave it to the Chargers. You probably disagree.
Nope, I agree.
Week 2, the Ravens. Week 3, the Raiders knock off the Panthers for their first win. And then they beat the Broncos. I'm sorry, the Broncos win.
Yep.
And then the Raiders, the Browns. Jeez. Let me start this over. Chargers win week 1. Yep. Ravens win week 2. Correct. I got the Raiders beating the Panthers in week 3. You disagree.
Correct.
I got the Browns beating the Raiders in week 4. Absolutely. Then I got the Raiders beating the Broncos in week 5.
I have that as well.
Raiders come back with back-to-back wins here and knock off the Steelers.
Agreed.
Then they lose to LA.
Correct.
And then they come out and do their Raider thing and they beat the Chiefs because Agreed. They beat the Chiefs every year.
Yep, agreed.
Then they lose to the Bengals.
Yep.
They lose to the Dolphins.
Yep.
They beat the Broncos again.
Yep.
And then they don't win another game until week 17 when they beat the Saints. They do that Raider thing where they just they're there. They're like 7-7, 6-8. Oh, if they could just string something together, they'll make the playoffs. We're going to the Super Bowl. We're going to the Super Bowl. And then I have to tell the Raiders fans, shut the hell up. Get out of my office. Go sell a car. You're not going to the Super Bowl. And then they beat the Saints in week 17.
Yeah, Saints week 17. I also have them beating the Chargers week 18. Yeah. So we're not that. So we have 6-11. We're a little bit different on the division, but pretty close to about the same right there. Absolutely. Sweet. Okay. 12th place overall in the conference, and in second place is the Chargers. I'm curious to see what the records are. I have them having a positive record at 9-8, which I didn't think they were going to have a positive record.
This is very exciting for me because we're going to be arguing about the Bills and the Chargers all year. I'm very excited. I got the Chargers.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Grabbing the 9th seed overall in the conference.
Yeah, I got them at 6th.
Okay, and making the playoffs. So the biggest difference here is you have the Chargers making the playoffs, not the Browns. Yep. That's our biggest difference here in the entire AFC. Outside of that, it's
who's got the better quarterback? I'll just go with that.
Yeah, Justin Herbert. Yeah.
And their head coaches are actually, in my opinion, pretty similar. Yeah. Stefanski's probably a top 10, top 12 head coach in the league right now. It's just their quarterback is hella suspicious.
Yep.
And I heard he sprained his ankle, so he's out the next 2 seasons.
So what was the record for the Chargers that you had them going?
12-5.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess it's easier for. I have them going 9-8, so it's a much different split. Win week 1 against the Raiders.
Yep.
A win in week 2 and 3.
Yep.
A loss in week 4.
Yep.
Okay, so we're the same up until the bye week at least. Now they have a win in week 6.
Yep.
A loss in week 7.
You said you like the Cardinals. I disagree.
A win in week 8.
Yep.
Loss in week 9.
Yep.
A win in week 10.
Yep.
Loss in week 11.
Yep.
Loss in week 12.
Yep.
A loss in week 13. Things a little different.
See, I have them beating the Falcons here, and the thing about it is I believe in them as a team, and at some point they're going to have that win that says they're either about it or they're not about it.
Yeah.
And the Falcons at this point are cruising in their division. Their division is already wrapped up by week 13. I think almost to the point where we're almost talking about, is Penix playing? in a quarter or two at this point. Things like that. Keep Kirk healthy. You know, we're not handing the ball off to Bijan a million times anymore. And so I really just thought, because of where the Falcons are going to be, they may be able to steal this game, because the Falcons aren't going to be in contention for the division. I'm sorry, the conference. So at this point, it really doesn't matter much. So I had them beating the Falcons here. So that's one win that we differ on.
Kansas City beating them in week 14.
Yep.
Wins in week 15 and 16.
Yep.
A win in week 17 as well.
Yep.
And then a loss in 18.
Yeah, so I have them beating the Raiders, the Falcons, and the Cardinals. That's the difference between us. And if I said to you right now, can the Chargers beat the Cardinals? You'd say yes. I'd say to you right now, can the Chargers beat the Raiders? You would say yes. So really, it just comes down to that Falcons game, which if they're both full strength, I'm picking the Falcons. I just don't think at that point the Falcons are going to have to worry about it too much.
It's one of those things, especially with this team. It's like almost like what we talked about with the Broncos, with like the couple of wins that they had that I had over you. It's like I'm not going to argue with those handful of teams where you could swing the bat either way and it might land in either one of the zones. But the big difference for us is, once again, the Chargers make the playoffs in your scenario. For mine, they miss the playoffs, which means the number one in the division, for me, the number one in the conference, is the Kansas City Chiefs. I have them going 13-4. And where do you have the Chiefs? The Chiefs going
15-2.
Okay, I was going to say 16-1. Is that where we're? So the two losses are where?
Week 18 against the Broncos, and that Raider game that they lose every year.
Okay, and then so the additional games is the ones we've already talked about. The Bengals in week 2 is the other one, and also the Niners in week 7. So honestly, that's another one of those two games to me where you could talk about those swinging either way.
The Chiefs are coming off their bye, and then they play us. Mm-hmm. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Every year, I swear, every year.
You play a tough team like that, they're coming off of a bye, and
we come off of our bye, and we have to go to fucking Florida and play Tampa Bay. This is bullshit. Why can't we get a home game after our bye?
Yep, absolutely. I agree. I feel like this last division was pretty easy because there was a couple of teams swing one way or another. But once again, same placements for both of us. 4th place, Denver. 3rd place, Raiders. 2nd place, Chargers. Making the playoffs for you, missing the playoffs for me. And in 1st place in the conference and in the division is the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Next week, we're going to talk about the NFC, which I'm very excited to talk about. When we're looking, let's see at that. Just real quick, looking at how I have it set up right now, my wild card rounds look like this. It looks like the Chiefs obviously getting the week 1 bye. Then it's Cincinnati going to Miami. It's Cleveland going to Houston in a rematch. And then it's New York going to Baltimore. That's my wild card matchups for the AFC.
And your picks for that would be?
Man, that's hard. I would go Houston at home. That's the easy one. The other two are really difficult. Miami's at home, but it's hard to bet against Joe Burrow and the Bengals in this situation, especially with the division and who they play the entire year.
And home field advantage in Miami in the playoffs really doesn't give you much.
I'd probably go Cincinnati with the away, and this is another one where I hate it because I love them, but I probably would go New York away, winning against Lamar and Baltimore at home, because that defense is so goddamn good, and Lamar can't really be trusted in the playoffs at this point.
You know who can be?
Joe Burrow.
Josh fucking Allen. So in my situations here, I got the 7th seed going to Baltimore. I got the 7th seed Bills going to Baltimore, knocking them off, because if there's one thing we could count on, it's the Ravens losing in the playoffs.
Yep.
I got the Chargers going to New York and losing to Aaron Rodgers. And then I have the Texans knocking off the Bengals.
Okay.
So, which is very exciting because that's going to set up Aaron Rodgers versus CJ Stroud, and that would set up the Bills versus the Chiefs. And let's be honest, even though you're a fucking hater and you think the Bills are going to suck this year, who doesn't want to see Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs?
Yep. No, absolutely. I'm definitely not going to disagree with you there. But yeah, that's it. So looking at next week, we're going to be going over the NFC, which I think is going to be just as wildly entertaining to see who's going to make it in. Honestly, I think our playoff teams will probably be the exact same. I don't think we'll have any differences there. I'll be surprised if we do.
Do you have the Packers winning 15 games? Because I did that one time and hated it.
No, I don't.
All right. Well, don't be so sure that this or that won't happen then, because I did a scheduled thing and the Packers won 15 games and the Lions won 15 games and came in 5th. So I don't believe that's the way it's going to be going. So don't quote me on that.
Okay. Well, besides that, Drew, do we want to say anything left to the people? Shorter episode today, but that is okay. We went over a lot.
Yeah. If a certain fucking uncle of mine or father of yours is watching this, advance the damn Madden week, old man. It's been out for 24 hours. We haven't even played 1 week yet.
It's true. Waiting. All right, man. Let's go ahead and say see you later to the people. We will be back next week with more season predictions. I'm very excited for the season to actually start.
Yeah. Let's hurry it up already.
All right, let's go.
Peace.